Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Final Down NFL podcast with me, Jim, Denver Dave, Punk Raider. We're here to talk about the NFL, and boys, how are we doing?
He's done it
It's
again, and he's bailed.
beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Another bye week for Finn.
Yeah. And that wasn't even planned.
No, it wasn't. No, we're here to do the Week 15 review show. Sans Seahawk fan Finn, but he'll be back next week, as will we all on Christmassy week. But yeah, we've got 16 games to go through for Week 15, boys. We've got a full slate now.
I mean, some of them we can sort of gloss over pretty sharpish.
Yeah,
We'll
I'm pretty
see.
certain we can lose a few of them.
Yeah.
Well, we always start the pod with the review of the first game of the weekend, and that was, if we go the way back, the Rams at the 49ers. And Thursday night Dross football is back, ladies and gentlemen. I don't blame Devondre Campbell for walking out in the third quarter in this one. The Niners were winning at the point, so a little weird. If you wanted to see touchdowns, you'll have left as disappointed as the Cooper Cup's fantasy owners. The Niners were up 6-3 in the fourth quarter, but when the Rams leveled, Brock Purdy for a red zone interception. The Rams were able to do just enough on offense to scrape a sweep over their division rivals, and the final score of the Rams 12, 49ers 6.
This is a genuinely true story, right? Thursday night, couldn't sleep, so I thought I'll get up and watch the game. Went downstairs within 10 minutes fast asleep. Genuinely. That's how bad this game was. It genuinely sent me off to sleep. And I woke up at the end. Yeah, it was a terrible game. It was an awful game.
I actually watched it the next morning, and I kept sitting there going, surely something happened soon.
Nope.
Surely something happened soon. Got to halftime, and it was like, right, I'm fast forwarding the rest of this.
Yeah, it was as bad as I can remember from both teams.
Yeah. 49ers really didn't do anything in this game. And
quitting on your team and refusing to go in, that's the only interesting thing that happened in this game, to be honest.
But I don't want to say too much on it because you usually find out something later that he hasn't told us. You know, I know there's been a lot of stuff going on that team this year that there's been very open about, but you just never know whether that was a quit or whether there's something else going on. So I don't want to really bash the guy.
It was kind of weird because it was the game Dre Greenlaw came back. So
yeah. Dre Greenlaw plays his position.
He must have known that when Dre Greenlaw was fit, he was gonna be starting the games. But
yeah, to dress for the game is a weird one to then walk off in the third quarter. But,
yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. There was
we'll find out
Buffalo Bill that did it, wasn't there, a few years ago?
He retired
Vontae
at
Davis.
Time,
yeah,
that's it.
Rest in peace, Vontae.
Yeah.
But we're going to move on from that game because it doesn't require any more analysis than that. Let's go on to one of the best games of the weekend. Let's do the Bills at the Lions. And none came with more pre-flight build-up than the Bills at the Lions did it. Geez, these two are all gas, no brakes teams. The rule is that you can't afford to punt. And after the Lions punted on their first two possessions, they found themselves 14-0 down. It meant they were always playing from behind. So even when they reeled off 4 back-to-back touchdown drives near the end, it was always from a position of desperation. The Bills seemed more in control, and it didn't hurt to have Keon Coleman and Dalton Kincaid back for Josh Allen to throw at. Despite Jared Goff ending with 494 passing yards and 5 touchdowns, it was pretty clear who the better quarterback was in this one. The final score was the Bills 48, Lions 42.
It was a ridiculous, terrific, phenomenal game. Over a kilometre of offense. It was just phenomenal. Imagine if the Lions got more than 48 rushing yards as well.
They didn't need to. Just slanging it the whole time.
Well, they didn't win, so perhaps they did need to.
Okay, they couldn't afford to.
This was one of those games where either team could have won. You can't offer any analysis on this because just go and watch the game. If you haven't seen it, just go and watch the game. It was incredible. These are the two best teams in the NFL. Forget about the Chiefs. These are the two best teams in the NFL.
They are the best teams in the NFL, but I do worry about the Lions going forward now because they are that decimated on defense. They've got so many season-ending injuries that if they're going to have to go through the playoffs scoring 45 points every single game to get through, then they're going to come unstuck at some point. Even if they don't beat the Bills again until the Super Bowl. But stonking game, and of course they've lost Montgomery as well for the rest of the season. He's MCL sprain, so it's kind of all falling apart a little bit for the Lions. I still think they'll be certainly there or thereabouts, but
they picked up Tim Patrick.
When they're as confident as I was
good. Another
earlier.
touchdown.
It's a good
Who
player.
lets that guy walk?
Dude, we've had this conversation, you moron. Remember when you see what Chase Claypool did this week? Yeah,
No,
who lets him
no.
walk? Hey? No, I
We didn't. We traded him. Got Joey
whatever.
Porter Jr. for that.
We
Amon-Ra sent Brown 14 catches, 193 yards and a touchdown.
yeah,
Come on, Amon-Ra. It's ridiculous. Just settle down a little bit.
I mean, as I say, this game is just ridiculous. In the fourth quarter, there were 34 points in the fourth
Yep.
quarter. I mean, that's more than the Raiders have scored in the last 9 games combined. It's phenomenal.
Well, yeah, probably not far off. I think we're one of probably two teams, maybe three teams that haven't scored 30 points this season yet.
I think there's
Mm.
So,
four teams that haven't scored 30
is
I
it
mean,
points.
four?
I'm not going to
Yeah.
start. The Broncos went about 3 years without
Yeah.
topping that score, so
You
it
know
is
what I
what
mean?
it is, isn't it?
Seeing 42 and 48 on the board is
Yeah,
yeah, it's rarefied air.
it's losing. It's scoring 42 and still losing. It's just unbelievable.
Well, they live by the sword and die by the sword, and I don't blame Dan Campbell for going for onside kicks and
Good God, no.
crazy stuff because the law of averages it works out. So
It's the
God
fourth.
loves a trier.
Their fourth down conversion rate is just, I mean, in this game, it was 100%. And we
Yeah,
mentioned in the last pod, I mean, their fourth down conversions are normally 1, 2, or 3 yards. They're not doing it from 6 or 7 yards. So
no.
they're sensible in when they did it. I think the Bills did fourth down conversion in this game as well. So they were in the whole game, I think we were 4-4. So
I'd get more concerned if Dan Campbell wasn't going for them.
yeah. Well, they punted 3 times in this game, which is unusual because
Like I said, they punted 2 times at the start, and then they were down 14-0. So
yeah,
that's not that on the head.
yeah, you had to pretty much just go right. You have to go fourth down.
Yeah.
But I think the Bills, the only analysis that I would offer other than go and watch the game, which I've said several times, is the Bills were great at stopping the run. They nullified that, basically made the Lions throw in the air and managed to basically outlast them. It was like when you watch the London Marathon, you get two amazing runners just absolutely burn it for 25 miles, and it's whoever finishes in the last mile tends to win it. And that's exactly what this was. It was
I'm
just, it
I'm
was
not sure
just,
we've got a jingle for a marathon analogy, Dave. That's the new one on us now.
yeah,
Athletics analogy.
there you go.
Thank you
Lob
very
that
much,
in.
Punk.
So you have to sharpen your game. No, it was incredible. It was just about who finished last. You remember that game a couple of years ago, Bills versus Chiefs, and it was basically down to who had the ball last.
The
It was
13-second game, yeah.
yeah, it was kind of this, if I'm honest.
There was a Rams one as well in Mexico, wasn't there? Rams and Chiefs.
Rams and Chiefs, yeah.
That was 51-49
That was Jared
or
Goff again, wasn't it?
something. It was
Mm.
it was madness, absolute madness. But you do get these games occasionally when two good teams come together.
Yep.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't
So
know.
there we go. And Buffalo win the AFC East, unsurprisingly now.
Shocker.
There
I
we
said
go.
that at the beginning of the season. You lot said I was an idiot.
Oh, Dave. But you are an
We say
idiot.
that
But,
every week, though,
we-
don't we? So
That's true. You've got a
let's
point.
move
On
on.
that occasion, I wasn't an idiot.
Let's move on to the Steelers at the Eagles. Similar to the last game, letting one team get out to a lead doesn't do very well for the other. It took going 2 scores down for the Steelers to really do anything more than go 3 and out on offense. Jalen Hurts was eager to make his receivers feel better after their complaining last week, and both A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith had a touchdown in the first half, and then with over 100 receiving yards. The Steelers did mount a bit of a comeback with a touchdown pass to Freiermuth and another Chris Boswell field goal, getting them to a 4-point game at the half. But the second half would see a rare fumble from Najee Harris that the Eagles dragged into a tush-push touchdown for Hurts. The game was done, but at least the Steelers shut out Saquon Barkley. The final score was the Steelers 13, Eagles 27.
well, as long as you shut out Saquon Barkley, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
that was the main
Clearly.
thing. Yeah.
Clearly. You didn't score a point in the second half, but
No.
that doesn't matter because you shut down Saquon Barkley.
Well, yeah.
This
This-
defense is legit. It really
Mm.
is.
Mm.
It's even let's say multi. I know you didn't have what's his head, old Grumpy
Pickens.
on the sidelines, but even a multifaceted team like the Steelers are not able to find any chinks in the armor, which they've been able to do all season with teams, to be honest. So, yeah, I think the Eagles are a real danger in the NFC, especially to a banged up Lions and let's call them a slightly lucky Vikings. So yeah, I think
Nah.
no, you
Not
don't
having
think
that.
so.
Yeah.
You don't
Vikings are
think
excellent. This is only because I called that at the beginning of the season as well.
Yeah.
In this game, the one thing I noticed is that the Eagles are putting an extra defensive lineman in. So they're basically saying we're not going to stack the box with an extra linebacker as normally happens because that guy can turn into a spy. They're basically saying we're not going to value the run of Russell Wilson because we think that our outside guys can stop him pretty well. So we're going to put in an extra lineman, which nullified your run threat, completely nullified it.
Yeah.
So then it has to go on Russell Wilson. And there was just nothing there. Now, whether it was not your guys not getting separation, whether it was him continuing not to be able to see the center of the field, whether it was them covering the numbers well enough, whatever happened, it was just you were not able to get going in any way on offense. And the game plan, as you say, from that defense was perfect, absolutely perfect. The only thing that has to be a concern now is everyone else is going to look at that and go, "We can do that."
Well,
Now,
no,
I'm not
everyone
saying they
can't do
can.
that.
No, I
Everyone
know, but
can't do that.
that's the theory of it.
Yeah. I mean, we've got the Bengals and the Ravens still to go, and they can't do that. They haven't got
Bengals
the
are
defense to do
terrible.
that. But yeah, you're right. Absolutely. I mean, the Steelers are averaging 24 points a game this season, so they're top 10. But the Eagles just completely shut us down. We tried to run to establish the pass because we didn't have any real receivers to pass that without George Pickens there. They knew it and they stopped it pretty
If you had
quickly,
a
and we
decent
didn't.
GM, you'd have better wide receivers, in all honesty.
Anyway, there was like when they did try, it was like there was that flea flicker play when Russ threw it down to Calvin Austin. It was like a 30-odd yard pass or something. That was a nice one. But it was so low percentage as a throw opportunity that, yeah. I mean, despite the loss, we still secured a playoff spot. So both teams are now definitely in the playoffs with that result.
No. You did not.
Yeah.
The reason you got a playoff spot was because of the Broncos winning. That's why.
Well, okay, but it was still. I
Just
didn't say.
saying.
Yes, obviously us losing doesn't help, but we still secured a playoff spot, Dave. That was the
You're
point.
welcome. You're
All right.
welcome.
Anyway, we're going to move on. I'm going to do a section now of away wins. So we're going to start with the Buccaneers at the Chargers. And did you know that Mike Evans is healthy again? Well, Jim Harbaugh knows, as Mr. Evans went and gashed his team for 159 yards and 2 touchdowns as the Bucs edged closer to a playoffs and winning the NFC South for the 4th year in a row. The Chargers had Lad McConkey back too, who got 58 receiving yards and a touchdown, but LA were just no match for the Bucs in this one. Running back Bucky Irvin was a game-time decision, but suited up and ran for 117 yards as the Bucs never punted. They had a pick and a fumble, but never punted. Final score was the Bucs 40, Chargers 17.
Yeah, they went through a period of turning the ball over for I think it was during the first or second quarter. Then after that, Bucks just beat them up.
Yeah,
and it's what you expect to see the Chargers doing this season with a Harbaugh team, but it wasn't. They literally just beat them up. Chargers converted 0 of 6 third downs and 0 of 2 fourth downs. They literally didn't convert on third or fourth down at all. Only 14 first downs in the entire game. They got battered, and they're on a short week this week. They played in Thursday Night Football.
They did at Pittsburgh. They didn't score in the second half either.
No,
that's not doing a Pittsburgh now, all right?
That's
not what we call it.
Pittsburgh.
Doing a
Love
Pittsburgh,
that.
not scoring in the second half.
That's definitely becoming a thing. Yeah, it was men against boys. They literally beat him up.
If only someone had seen this coming. All right, Dave.
Let's not go there. I expected the Chargers to be better at home.
I
supposedly.
It wasn't about the Chargers though. I think the Bucs is on a roll right now. They were so high up when they started the season. They were doing so well, and then they get smacked with Evans going down, then Chris Godwin going down, and all of a sudden you've not got these two dynamic weapons on offense that you can use. And so they had a slip, they had a little dip. You know, the Falcons managed to eke above them in the NFC South, but they've got Mike Evans back, a man who is automatic for 1,000 yards a season. And look what he's doing. It's just awesome to watch. And Baker will keep throwing it to him. Keep feeding that horse that's going to get you those points.
Yeah,
I think it's brilliant. I could see it happening. I just knew that the offense for the Bucs was much better than the Chargers. Chargers have to really strain to get these points on the board. They need at least one more draft where they now go for wide receivers that they had to, we look at obviously Joel was the right pick, but they've solidified the line now. Justin Herbert isn't running for his life. He should now be able to deliver it to people that can actually catch the ball. Quentin Johnston needs upgrades from him. So the problem they're a year away basically from being properly.
If they carry on playing like this, they're more than a year away. The problem that I've got is the Broncos have played both of these two teams. So we've played the Chargers, we've played the Bucs in Tampa. and they still had Godwin, they still had Evans, and they were soft.
Mm.
So when you watch a team against yours and you watch every play and you're really focused in on it, you kind of get swayed by that. So
Hmm.
my before this game, my opinion of the Bucks is they're a bit soft. You know, they've got really good players like Vita Vea and Levante David, who but it's the bits around them, they're just a bit squidgy. They
When did
came in
you
and
play them, Dave? What week? Do you
it's like
remember?
week 3 or 4, I think.
Yeah, I think something
But they
happened
still
after
had
about
everything. They
week
still had everyone
six
26 to
fit.
7.
because it was almost as soon as they started getting the injuries that everyone started stepping up and they started playing teams tougher. Because last week against us, it was literally stand on the throat and crush them.
Mm.
They were not soft against us, and even I think we've had Baker on the power plays a few times, just
Hmm.
having really tough runs, and you know even when receivers haven't been there, they've been doing it. So I do wonder if something changed
Well,
in the
they so
coaching.
the week before we played them, they beat the Lions. The
Yeah,
week
Yeah.
after,
yeah,
they beat the Eagles.
yeah.
And we got them. They lost 27-6. So
Up until
So they
this,
were off the ball, didn't they?
up until
yeah,
this
So the
we
week, they were the
battered
only
them.
team to have beaten the Lions.
Yeah, we absolutely battered them. It wasn't even close. So that was why I was swayed on it. But yeah, I mean they were phenomenal. Team of the week.
Shout out quickly to Tahib Still, who got his fourth pick of the season, fifth round pick, working out there for the Chargers. Let's move on then to the Commanders at the Saints. I don't want to hear any more nonsense about any other QB who may be eligible for the Offensive Rookie of the Year award. Okay, Jaden Daniels got the chisel out on Sunday.
Defensive rookie of the
I
year.
said Offensive Rookie of the
No,
Year
correct that, son.
Yeah, but we all
for
know
the
that the
Offensive
offensive
Rookie of
rookie
the
of the
Year.
year isn't going to be a quarterback. It's going to be a
Bo
tight
Nix.
end.
Jaden Daniels got the chisel out on Sunday, boys, and sealed the deal with another display that looked like early season Jaden and a win over the Saints. 81% completion, 226 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and 66 yards rushing. Corsiolo needs major work done to it in the offseason, allowing Daniels to be sacked 8 times just unacceptable. For the Saints, Jake Haener was given the first half to prove himself. 4 punts and an interception later to see the Saints into halftime at home with 0 points, allowing interim head coach Darren Rizzi to finally uncall the rattler. And the Saints scored on all 4 second half drives, including a touchdown with no time remaining to Foster Moreau. They went for 2, and the Commanders turned it away. The final score was the Commanders 20, Saints 19.
I will accept that Jaden Daniels did well in this game, but you cannot pull a stroke that Spanky Rattler looked good in this game. He was terrible. He
Four
had a few
drives,
highlights.
135 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, 81 QBR for one half of football, and when they were down 14 to begin it. Yes, I
10,
can. Yes, I can.
10 of 21. He missed some absolute bone
Who's he throwing
open
at?
plays.
Who's he throwing at? There's no one to throw to out there anymore. They're all injured.
Yes, there are. Don't give me that nonsense.
Go on,
Simple
tell me, who's their main receiver?
Dante Pettis. I'm joking. I went down the depth chart for that. No, fact is, there was some open plays. It doesn't matter who your receiver is. If he's standing there and he's got, he's showing you his numbers with his hands, they're ready to catch the ball, and you miss it and you throw it at his feet, that's not good enough. There's a reason. It's not. Listen, they started Jake Haener. That's not by accident. They're not tanking.
No, they're
It's
idiots.
because, I mean, idiot, who knows? But they're professional coaches in the NFL. We're just idiots talking on a podcast.
Yes.
All I'm saying, they started Jake Haener for a reason. Spanky Rattler came in and he weren't
Came
much
in
better.
cold.
He just
Came in cold and still
had
putting that performance.
and put in a performance where he completed less than 50% of
He
his
should be.
passes. Bravo.
No.
Yes.
Well, okay, 8-1, 8 QBR still.
Yes. Is
Okay,
the word
fine.
you're looking
Fine.
for.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't
I
matter because
don't,
he's still
I
Doesn't
don't
got
it?
think
four
Spanky
scoring
Rattler's
drives.
even the story in this. I think
I
the
want to
No,
make him the
story
story.
in this is
Dave's making him the story, all
it's
right?
not. I'm not making a story. You are, you moron.
but the thing that worries me is how Washington were hardly able to score points in the second half and
Yeah.
let the Saints right back into it. To me,
Do you,
that's
do you reckon
for a
it's a foot off
playoff
the gas
worthy
drum?
team when they're what was the score at half time? It was
It's 14
something
nothing.
reasonable. Yeah.
14 zip.
Okay, so when you're 14 up, yeah, I can understand you taking your foot off slightly, but you want to be a playoff team. You're going to have to kill these teams, not just let them back into it and so on and so forth. So that for me was a little bit concerning.
Rattler was warming up.
Um,
That's all it was.
but
Just getting going.
end of the day, they got the win, so that's the matters. And I
Yep.
did like the
Yep.
cojones to go for two on that very final play from the
Mhm.
Saints.
Mhm.
Riverboat Ron is one that always used to try it, and I like it. Why bother playing overtime? Let's not bother. Let's just deal with it now. Either
That's
win
only
or
because you don't want to carry on watching that dross.
well, yeah, that's
If it's
true.
me, I kick the field
I'm
goal
guessing
and
that's why they probably did it. Is because they
yeah.
were
Pick
like,
the
I
extra
really don't
point.
want to watch. another 15
Well, it
minutes.
could be. I think it's a bit different now that the overtime rules have changed, where you do definitely get, unless you lose a touchdown, you do get the
True.
ball back. So, there is now more impetus to go for overtime because it's not just a one and done. But still, I
The
always love
overtime rules
decliners.
haven't changed. They're still the
What do you
same
mean?
in regular season.
They changed about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's still if they kick a field goal, you still get the ball back, same as it always was. It's in the playoffs where if they score a touchdown, you still get another go.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
still the
exactly. That's
same
what
in
I
the
mean.
regular season. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not changed. It's exactly the same.
it's changed for the past. Fine.
Oh, it
Uh,
changed about 9 years ago, Jim.
has it been 9 years already?
Yeah, but Spanky Rattler's
In
rubbish.
my day, the goalposts were at the front of the end zone.
Yeah. Could you imagine that now? You'd have so many concussions now if that was the case.
We're going to do Cincinnati over Tennessee and turnovers. Get your turnovers here. Double-digit turnovers. Step right up. What a mess. Joe Burrow threw 2 picks, including one on the opening drive. Will Levis threw 3 picks, including a pick six, before being put out of his misery for the levels better Mason Rudolph. Burrow, Levis, and Tony Pollard all lost fumbles. Burrows was scooped by one of my boys, Andre Sweat, who we should be hearing about later if Punk had done the full power plays, but it
Yeah.
was gorgeous. Jordan Battle was running back for a pick six for Cincinnati before bobbling the ball on the 1 yard line, which led to a touchback. Rudolph had one pick on a tipped pass before scoring touchdowns on his final 2 drives, and there were 223 yards of penalties. Yep, 223 yards of penalties. Final score was the Bengals 37, Tennessee Titans 27.
This game was a disaster. This was a college game.
Mm.
That's what this was. It was so bad in places. Will Levis is done now. I was an advocate a couple of weeks ago. Look, just play him and just see what you got. We've seen what he's got against a terrible defense. On, I mean, on 12 attempts, he turned the ball over 3 times, 3 interceptions on 12 attempts. That is shocking.
That's a quarter, isn't it?
That is honestly, it's ridiculous. I've never seen anything like it. Mason Rudolph came in and looked actually really good.
He's not a bad quarterback. He
He's
can
not a
win
great
games.
quarterback either. Quarterback
No,
either.
no, but
The
he's at least steady.
and the
He always
interception
comes
that he
alive at
had,
Christmas, does Rudolph.
He does.
indeed. I can't believe
Bit
I
of a
missed that
glow
one.
to him.
Yeah, no, the interception shouldn't have counted as well. It's a tip pass. I don't think they
It,
should count in stats because
no.
it was not his fault in any way. If his receiver could catch, it'd just been another completion. Yeah, I think this Tennessee team's all right. I think they're okay.
They could be all right. They need some
I think they
work
will
doing to
be.
them.
Well, I
Not,
listened back to the podcast last week when you were throwing shade over their defense, Jim, which I think is completely unwarranted.
Well, Devondre Sweat is brilliant, but outside of that, they're in trouble.
Harold Landry,
Yeah,
he's cracking.
he's
He's
all
very
right.
good. Behave.
Nah.
And you know what?
Sam Hubbard
If
was better on the other side. He caught a touchdown pass in the first half
yeah,
of the Bengals, then suffers a
he's had it.
PCL injury, so he's done for the season.
Yeah, he's had a terrible season, Sam Hubbard. He has really.
Yeah.
Well, the only good thing about their defense is Trey Hendrickson, who's leading the league on sacks at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
they've got
and
these outliers, haven't they, to
Yeah.
lead the stats? But
Yeah, imagine if he wasn't playing for them. But no, Bengals looked into winning this. I'm not sure it does anything for them greatly. What are they, 6-8 now?
yeah, I think
they've
so.
still got an outside chance of making the playoffs, but it's a real outside chance.
And they'll just be
Well,
smacked around in the playoffs.
Yeah, they play the Broncos soon, so Broncos are currently in 7th spot. So yeah, if they win that game, it gives them a chance, I guess. But
Yeah, I think in the AFC it's only that 7th spot that's really up for grabs.
well,
To be honest,
so the Broncos play on Thursday night, and the fact that we're playing the Bengals is the reason we're playing on Thursday night.
Yeah.
So we accepted the flex from the NFL, so we play on the Thursday, and we basically got an extra bye week because we've now got 4 extra days.
Ridiculous.
On where the Bengals play, so we end up playing the Bengals with an extra 4 days holiday. So yeah, lovely.
And Tennessee have been eliminated from the playoff contention, by the way. So let's move on to another OA win. Let's do the Chiefs and the Browns. Not much to say on this one, mostly because Dave and Punk come out in a rash when we talk about the Chiefs for too long. But it was an easy win. The only thing noteworthy was Mahomes getting folded like a lawn chair by Dalvin Tomlinson with 8 minutes left in the game. He left the game with a mid-high ankle sprain. Carson Wentz saw the game out. Final score was the Chiefs 21, Browns 7. Browns eliminated
just looking for more sympathy. That's all it was.
Attention seeking.
He was just expecting the refs to give him more penalties because he was hobbling about a bit.
When I used to play Sunday League football, we had a winger called Nathan. Good player. But anytime you go into a tackle, he come out limping really, really badly. And he do it on purpose. And then literally 2 minutes later, he skins the guy down the line, knocks it random and runs on. The guy thinks, hang on, I thought he was injured. He'd do it all the time, constantly, just to show, yeah, I'm really, really injured. And then just skin the guy and go running off like the march here. So yeah, I bet that's what he's doing.
Okay, so the
100%.
doctors are in
Just
on it as
attention
well then.
seeking. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
And the NFL and the refs and everyone.
Everyone's in on it. It's a big
Yeah.
conspiracy. Okay.
This
I
was
mean,
a
he
romp.
won a Super Bowl with the same injury a couple of years ago. So
Exactly. It's all faked.
it's all okay.
It's all faked.
This is why I'm not going to talk about the Chiefs, and we can't talk about the Chiefs on this podcast, which is difficult because they win all the time. Let's move on to another away win. Let's do the
Very
Packers
easy.
at the Seahawks. Not surprised that Finn isn't here today. This was an awkward watch for a Seahawks fan, as the Packers seem to just be allowed to put in 14 points with no one on the front seven stopping Josh Jacobs on the ground on the opening drive, and no one in the secondary stopping Jordan Love from launching spray and pray balls over the top. Romeo Doubs caught the first of
Bit
two in this
harsh.
game. The second one was ridiculous, by the way. The Seahawks didn't wake up until the second half, where they at least started to match Green Bay for productivity. Zach Charbonnet got a rushing score, but by that time, Gino had already gone out of the game with a knee injury. Sam Howell finished the game, but threw a game-killing pick after the defense had forced a turnover on downs. The final score was the Packers 30, Seahawks 13.
I got nothing on this game.
I
Oh,
haven't seen this game.
well, it was the awkward Sunday night game thing,
Well,
so
the main reason I've not seen it is because I was watching the Broncos game
oh
on my
God.
tablet and I had Red Zone on. And every time I looked up with Red Zone, it was the Lions versus Bills game.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, most of the time when I was too knackered after that to stay up and watch any other games. And I've gone back. The only game I've bothered to go back and watch in full is the Bills versus Lions game. So I haven't paid a huge amount of attention to this game, to be honest. So yeah, I got
Well,
nothing.
I've already been for it. So I'm happy to move on from it. It was a tough watch for Seahawks. They just
One
really weren't at it
One
at
thing
all.
I am noticing is that I'm just watching some highlights now, and the
Oh,
Seahawks are wearing some serious day glow.
Oh,
well,
awful.
it clashed awfully with the Packers away kit as well. I don't like the Packers
Yeah,
away kit to begin with, but
I think it
putting it
might
What, the
just be
against
white
that
old.
green
ones?
was
Might just be old. I think it's fine.
no, I don't like it.
When Forest play Wolves, my eyes don't see it. That gold and
When
the red, that makes my eyes go a bit funny.
I'm moving on. Let's do another away win. Let's do the Jets at the Jags. The battle of the two cringiest quarterbacks in the league. At least when Aaron Rodgers is on the field, you don't have to listen to him. Mac Jones looks like he's trying to channel Jameis Winston with his awful mannerisms when he manages to pick up a first down. No swag, and mercifully for us all, no win against his name on this one. The players to rightly focus on with the two wide receiver ones on each side. Rookie Brian Thomas Jr. had 10 catches for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns in his best game of the season, but Devontae Adams really showed us a vintage performance with 9 catches for 198 yards and 2 touchdowns. On the final drive, Mac Jones threw a knucklehead interception on the 3rd and 1 to Sauce Gardner for his first pick six since 2022. The final score was the Jets 32, Jags 25.
I was talking to a Jags fan this week and I asked him what he thought of the game. And he said the biggest thing to come out of this game is the fact that Aaron Rodgers is not back. He's still rubbish because
Yeah,
they were up against the worst defense in the NFL. That's the only reason they scored 32 points.
don't pen the Giants.
And no,
Oh,
worse. And the Giants have got still a decent pass rush. He said the Jets defense is absolutely terrible. And the NFL this weekend is serving up the worst defense with the Jags against the worst offense with the Raiders. So watching that Jags offense against the Raiders, anything can happen. But he said for this game, Rodgers
3-6.
is Rodgers is not back. This was just him playing against a poor team.
No,
A
it
team
was
that's
also
also lacking
Devontae
confidence.
Adams turning back the clock and actually
Yeah.
putting in a performance that has actually cost me in one of my fantasy leagues,
Mm.
which is unfortunate. You know, the one time he turns up for the Jets is the one time I didn't need him to, but
oh, oh.
it's just one of them, innit? It's about time he did something, to be fair. Otherwise, he's going
Well,
to lose that, Hall of Fame status that I keep putting on him.
if you can't do it against the Jags, then you can't do it.
That's true. That's very
Both
true.
eliminated from the playoffs. So
Yeah.
there we go. Next one, the Cowboys at the Panthers. I guess it was just wishful thinking on all our parts that Dallas would take an L at home to the Panthers after all. Micah Parsons was back on form in this one, 2 sacks and constant pressure on Bryce Young in this one. Even when Bryce Young managed to avoid him and pick up a first down, he managed to bobble the ball going to the ground. You could tell from then on it was not going to go. It wasn't going to go one way. Rico Dowdle ripped off 149 rushing yards. CeeDee Lamb had 116 receiving yards and a touchdown. There were Dallas scores from both Jalen's Brooks and Tolbert. The Panthers did have a nice score from their own Jalen in Jalen Coker for 81 yards, but this wasn't their day. Final score: Cowboys 30, Panthers 14.
This was the
Um,
Panthers from earlier in the season.
I don't
This
think it was.
this
I don't
isn't the
think it.
one we've seen from the last couple of weeks.
I don't think it was. I think it might have been the rest of the Panthers. I think Bryce Young was actually okay in this game. His receivers were really struggling to get separation. He didn't have a lot. There was one particular play where on the broadcast he threw the ball and it went in between a receiver and blah blah blah, and they cut back. And I can't remember who the color commentator was, but he's sitting there going, literally, who's he meant to throw to? What is he supposed to do in this situation? How about you help out your quarterback who's been struggling this season and actually find some space?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you've got no one an out route, so they haven't planned for anyone an out route. So, a get out of jail free card, i.e., the Rust card. You've got no one doing that. He's got no one over the middle who's showing. Everyone's out wide. He's like, who's he going to throw to? So I get he can't see over the line, but give him an option through the middle at least. So yeah, I think it was just hard for him, really, really hard. Um, Two things about Dallas. Can Cooper Rush stop doing that here we go thing that Dak does? It's really
He's
annoying.
doing that.
It's
That must
so
be a team
irritating.
thing.
Here we go. And I was like, what are you doing, mate?
I thought we'd have a
The,
respite from that, wouldn't you?
oh, I was
That's one
hoping
of the good
so.
things about him getting injured. But
Yeah.
no, still get it.
The other thing, so the Cowboys are in a little bit of cap hell, so I'm going to cap nerd out for a second or two, so bear with me.
Quickly, please.
Well, from what we can tell, and I've heard little snippets from sort of NFL media and stuff like that. From what I can gather, they're not going to be able to sign Micah Parsons. So they're going to have to try and trade him, from what I can gather, because there's no money in the pot. Now, what's he worth? Because I mean, I'd happily give up a couple of firsts for him. I think he's that good.
Possibly.
Be an interesting one if they wanted to come up near the top of the draft this year.
Well, what they've paid, yeah. Well, what they've paid Dak, what they've paid CeeDee Lamb. They've also got a couple of other guys who they've paid big, big money to. There's the cornerback whose name I forget.
Trayvon Diggs.
Trayvon Diggs. They paid big money to Diggs, and they've
He's injured
also
again.
paid the guard, Trev Martin.
Zach Martin.
Zach Martin. They paid load. They just don't have the cap for it, so they're not going to be able to sign him because when he signs a deal, it's going to be absolutely massive.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be a $20 million deal. It's going to be massive, and they just can't afford it. So there's a lot of talk that they're going to have to trade him.
Well, this is the 49ers problem, except they weren't paying Brock Purdy.
Yeah, but a lot
So
of
they
the
could afford
guys,
to pay everyone else.
a
But
lot of the
they've
guys with the
paid Dak
49ers
Prescott.
though, a lot of the guy with the 49ers though, a lot of those guys are past it. Not past it, but they're not in their prime. Micah Parsons probably hasn't got to his prime yet. He's still got another 2 or 3 years before he gets to his prime. It's a bizarre one for me.
Isn't he
That's
still
what
in his rookie contract for another 2 years?
they can activate a fifth-year option because I think they picked him up
Yeah.
2 places after the Broncos picked up Pat Surtain, so it's like 14 or 15 or something like
Yeah, so
that.
they can, in theory, they could just kick the can down the road for a
Mm.
year and just see where they are at the end of next season.
I don't know how long he's been in the league, though. I think his fifth year might be coming up pretty soon. But yeah, from what I can gather, it's going to be really, really difficult for them to keep him.
That'd be a shame. Be a shame.
Wouldn't
It's
it?
devastating, isn't
Yeah,
it?
feeling a tear starting to form in the corner of my eye. Let's move on to the next one. Another away win. Let's do the Baltimore Ravens at the Giants. Congratulations, Baltimore. You beat the headless Giants. 5 touchdowns for Lamar sounds really impressive. We had under 300 passing yards, which tells you a lot about their starting position on drives. The Giants managed 233 total yards to the Ravens 445. Lamar's fumble on the second play of the game was the only blemish for Baltimore. Rashad Bateman had 2 touchdowns. Mark Andrews scored again to give him the franchise touchdown record. Rookie Devontae Walker's first NFL catch was a touchdown, as the Giants just let everything through these days. Got to feel bad for Malik Neighbors, who got his first touchdown since week 3, but his rookie year is on a dumpster fire. Final score, Ravens 35, Giants 14.
There's nothing to see here other than there's a new record in this game. So Lamar Jackson is the first quarterback in NFL history to complete over 80% of his passes, have over 250 passing yards, have over 5 touchdowns, have over 50 rushing yards with no interceptions. First time it's ever happened. But there is an asterisk next to this. It was against the Giants.
Yeah.
That's it. The Giants are bad, man. I'm still convinced they get a decent quarterback. It lifts everyone else because the defense there is making business decisions. People aren't buying into whatever they're doing.
It
And
all
part of me, is-
depends on whether they're picking
it doesn't
first or
matter.
second. Both the quarterbacks aren't ones they would traditionally go for, if you get my meaning.
Yeah, well, I don't. I
Will they
support the
trade
team.
back? Other than, I mean, they've got to go for a quarterback, but
Yeah,
Quinn Ewers
That's
available.
that's that's where someone like Sam Darnold becomes an interesting option as a bridge
it's true.
quarterback.
I
Yeah.
mean, the better of the two in the NFL is going to be Cam Ward, but
Mm,
I'm not sure him in a New York team would be the best idea.
no.
And Shador Sanders in New York would be an absolute dumpster fire.
It'd
Mm.
be like
Well,
amazing to
listen,
watch.
Shador Sanders plays
Shador,
for,
Shador Sanders and Deion Sanders and
yeah,
New York Press. Yeah,
but
that'll
he
work.
plays for my team, and I'm a fan of him. But he's for me, he's not an NFL quarterback. He's just not.
Oh, oh
I
my
don't.
word.
No, I don't
I'm
think
looking forward to the
he's.
spicy off-season pre-draft drama we're going to have about
Oh, it's
about
just
this god-awful quarterback class.
it's yeah, not great for me. I'd wait until the third round and I'd draft Dylan Gabriel to be honest. But there you go.
Well, I'm going to move on from that. We're going to do the revenge of the home teams now. We've had far too many away wins for 1 week. Let's do the Patriots at the Cardinals. And I doubt Drake May will be sending a Christmas card to Keyshawn Boots after he coughed up a pass straight to Sean Murphy Bunting as the Patriots are trying to get back into this game. The play goes an interception, but it should be against the receiver. Either way, the game was out of reach by that point. Kyler Murray may not have had a passing touchdown on the game, but he clearly drove the offense to be outscoring the Patriots. James Conner was having a day, 110 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns as the Cards got up early and controlled the game. Simples. Final score, Patriots 17, Cardinals 30.
I'm not sure it was that simple, if I'm
It
honest.
seemed simple when I was watching it.
I think, well, what I got from it, nothing happened until the fourth quarter. Then it burst into life, but the Patriots just left it too late.
But they matched the score. They both scored 14 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
But it was
which
the
is what.
first half where the Cardinals got out early and just then held them at bay.
No, I agree, but at the same time, the Patriots were still causing trouble. If they'd have started really going hell for leather earlier on, I think they were really causing Arizona trouble.
It's the Patriots. They don't know how to go hell for leather.
Yeah, maybe. The thing that's surprising, there was a video I watched on YouTube. It was one of those shorts, and it
Mhm.
was actually reasonably long for it being a short, but it was showing you all of the different things that the Patriots have done wrong on defense. Their defense really isn't very good. Considering that they spend most of their cap on Patriots
Well,
spend most of
Gonzalez
their
is
cap
good.
on defense. Well, you say that. There's one of my, Paul, who was meant to come on the podcast earlier on, but ended up handing in his homework for me to read out. He's not a
Mhm.
fan of Gonzalez at all, and he's a massive Patriots fan.
Well, okay.
So, but he's not a fan of
Can't
Christian
please them all, can
Gonzalez.
you, punk?
No, it's a true story. I quite
I
like
mean,
him. I
you've
think
got to
he's
remember
good.
they've also got Yannick Ngakwe, so
Yeah, the
Anyway,
NFL's version of a drifter. The man who's played in every stadium.
I was amazed he was still playing, to be honest.
Yeah.
next game is the Colts at the Broncos. The two horsey teams met in Denver, and it was not a thoroughbred performance from anyone, to be honest. The whole game pivoted when Jonathan Taylor decided to stop holding the ball as he'd weaved 41 yards into the goal line. With coming off the second of Bo Nix's 3 interceptions on the game, this would have put the Colts up by 20-7. It paralyzed the Colts, who wouldn't score again, while the Broncos crowd were given the boost they needed to punt their team into life. The score padded by the botched trick play that was rode back by Nick Bonito. Best fire in this game under forget soon. Final score, Colts 13, Broncos 31.
Rubbish. Broncos
And
Yeah, it
because
defense
of
was
absolutely was
Taylor,
rubbish.
the
rubbish, Dave.
Colts pulled the
Please,
Pittsburgh.
please don't think this is a good game for Denver. It really
It was a good
wasn't.
game. We won.
Congratulations. I
Hmm.
mean, you were dross, mate. You were on the ropes and
Give it up.
you were given
21
this
points in
win.
the fourth quarter. That'll do. Just
Yeah,
about.
that's called doing a
Yeah, it was
Denver.
a
It's
trick
not.
play on there as well. Doesn't matter.
It was.
Doesn't
It
matter.
was. Listen,
The,
it's
the,
the
on-
first.
the only thing that I really want to pull out of this game is
Mm,
when are these players going to learn to actually carry the ball over the goal line?
No, I don't get it
We've
at
seen
all.
so many instances this season of players dropping it as soon as they get near the end zone. It's absolutely ridiculous that they
I mean, he's
still
not a rookie.
no,
no.
exactly. And even if he was, it was bad enough when one of the Jets rookies did it earlier
Yeah.
this year,
Yeah.
and they got away with it because they won the game. But even a rookie, for God's sake, just take 2 steps into the end zone and then drop the ball. It's not a difficult thing to
Run out the
learn.
back of the end zone.
Yeah, do whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
just make sure the ball's over.
So Jordan
Uh,
Battle did it in the Cincinnati game, but he's at least on defense. He's got half an excuse.
True, he doesn't get in the end zone that often.
Unbelievable. I mean, in the interview afterwards, he was like, "That can't happen. That will never happen again. That will never happen again." I was like, "Just don't let it happen in the first place, dude. You better
Yeah.
go out and run 200 yards and 4 touchdowns next week for the Colts."
But this is the thing. When it happened, I immediately thought, "Oh God, on the next series, he's going to kill us." Because you automatically assume that when that
He's going to
happens,
come back
someone's
angry and
Yeah,
exactly
yeah, yeah.
nothing. It was
they were
meek.
stunned.
It
They were
was
absolutely stunned. That killed the Colts. Absolutely
yeah.
shocked them.
But in terms of for Bo Nix,
Stun
second
locked.
half, I thought he was much better. First
Three
half, I don't
interceptions.
in the first half.
Yeah.
Although there's one in the second actually. But no, and the thing is, you have to give props to both defenses. The Colts defense in the first half was
Hmm.
really good,
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
Broncos defense the entire game. Well, Broncos defense started um, a little bit slow, but the story of this is the Broncos adapted on offense and on defense, and the Colts didn't. It's as simple as that. And I'm not going to start slagging off Anthony Richardson, but he was not good in this game.
I mean,
Um,
Bo Nix only got 130 yards.
Yeah, I
yeah,
know. Yeah. We're not going to talk about this game. We're going to move on. Let's do the Dolphins at the Texans. Was this Houston playing better, or the Dolphins continuing to struggle against better teams? 20 points and just 130 passing yards from CJ Stroud isn't great, but he had no picks and 2 touchdowns to his bestie, Nico Collins. Plus, the defense held Miami to just 12 points while picking Tua 3 times, as well as Will Anderson causing a sack fumble in Dolphins territory that teed up the Texans taking and retaining the lead. The biggest piece of advice I can guess we can get from this one is not pass in the vicinity of Derek Stingley. He had
yeah.
two of the interceptions, with dark horse defensive rookie of the year Kalen Bullock getting the other one. Final score was the Dolphins 12, Texans 20.
Yeah, it's nice to see Derek Stingley doing well. He's one of my favorite
Yes,
players. Him and
back
Brian
healthy.
Branch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that
I,
that
I don't know, guys. Was it the Texans playing better, or was it the Dolphins being crap against good teams?
both.
I thought it was nah. I don't know. I'm not sure Houston were that good, to be honest.
No, I think they
I
did a
think
job and they were fine.
I think they did the job, and
Mm.
but again, we've said all season long they're not playing with the freedom and the potential that they had last season. And I think in this one they were a little bit lucky in that Miami just again weren't able to do anything when faced with a half decent defense.
I'm convinced that the Texans have one problem, and that's that their offensive line, their interior especially, is garbage.
Oh, yeah,
They
ain't
can't run
good.
the ball. Even Joe Mixon can't run the ball. He averaged under 2 yards a rush this game. He had 12 attempts. Stroud's constantly under duress. It's just you shore up that line, and I think they'll be fine. Free agency, go out and pick up a center who's competent, um, and pick up numerous guards. That's where their issue lays, in essence. Get better on the line, and they'll be a better team.
Yeah, Kenyon Green needs to go, I think. Yeah. All right. Oh, and also Grant DeBose. I mean, he's recovering in Houston Hospital following a
Mm,
scary helmet to helmet hit. That was just his third NFL game and only second catch attempt of his career. Texans win the
ouch.
AFC South for the sixth time in the last 10 years, but only blow for them was Jalen Petrie. His end of season with a chest injury. It requires surgery. So that's a big blow for the safety there.
Mm.
We've got 2 games left. The Monday night games. First one was the Bears at the Vikings, and a fairly comfortable night for the Vikings, who had the whole crowd matching their white look for the game, despite being the home team. Last game between the two was settled by a blocked field goal. This was settled by the second quarter, as the Vikings just moved the ball effortlessly for a field goal, then a Justin Jefferson touchdown. Even when Tyreek Stevenson got a pick of Darnold, the Bears offense only went and turned the next drive over on downs. There were points in the second half for Chicago, but they really needed the power running back as they were just shut out in the red zone. Minnesota didn't have that problem and seemed to rub the Bears' nose in it by getting goal line scores from Aaron Jones and Cam Akers. Final score was the Bears 12, Vikings 30.
And grown-ups playing the kids on it. That's what this
Yeah,
was.
yeah. It was tough. It was tough to watch. Like I said, when they got down to the 1 yard line and couldn't push it in, but then the Vikings go down the other end and score 2 goal line touchdowns with their
Yeah.
running backs. It was just, oh,
Punk, did you see any
yeah.
of this game?
I haven't seen any of this. So how was Caleb? Because I know he hit a couple of 100 yards and a touchdown, but
It was hard for him. Let's just say that he wasn't helped out. Third down efficiency, 1 of 12.
Yeah.
That tells
Yeah,
you everything you need
that's
to
not
know.
going to help.
Well, they all of them were like 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9.
Yeah.
They had almost 100 yards worth of penalties. Every time they got anything positive, flag came out, and they're all legit. All
Yeah.
bad holding. One of them, I think, was a terrible horse collar tackle. It's like, come on, guys, you're better than this. It just stinks of poor coaching. You wouldn't see a Payton, you wouldn't see a Tomlin, you wouldn't see a Reed team doing this. They need to be better than this.
I think the problem they've got is that obviously Aberflus was terrible, shouldn't have been there
Yeah.
in the first place, but they've just promoted the guy who was the pass coordinator for he came in January, Thomas Brown, started to build up a rapport with Caleb, and then they went, okay, you deal with everything now.
Yeah.
And it's like, Jesus Christ, he's just started to get good on the offense,
Go and
and
get
now
Jeff
you've given him
Saturday.
everything.
Jesus.
Can't you put someone there? Can't you just put someone else there? You don't need to ruin the one thing that was starting to work.
Yeah.
It's just such a bad organization.
Do you know what I think they need? They need a Dan Campbell. They need not a scream and a shout. I mean, someone who sets a culture,
Yeah.
someone who can really change. It's like a harbor. Do you know what I mean? Someone who sets a culture and says, "This is what we are now." And if you don't like it, piss
And Mike
off.
Ditka.
Yeah, maybe not Mike Ditka, but I like a Mike Ditka. Yeah. But
I'm still
yeah,
pine
that's what
for
they
him.
need. They need someone who's going to come in and actually do the right thing. But unfortunately, they've got owners who are not very competent, and they've got a president who's power hungry and doesn't want anyone there who's going to challenge him. So it's very,
Yeah.
very difficult.
Yeah. Bears eliminated from playoff contention. We've got one more game, and that was the
No, that was it.
Falcons.
There's no other
Falcons at
games.
the Raiders. You know that your team is bad when the opposition benched their quarterback because they didn't beat you well enough. That was exactly what the 2-win Raiders saw, who actually had not one but 2 Hail Mary shots to snatch a win over the Falcons. Atlanta have announced that the first-round draft pick, Michael Penix, will start Week 16 after Kirk Cousins had yet another insipid performance against what's basically a gimme game. Just 112 passing yards, 1 touchdown and 1 pick was all the Falcons got out of Kirk. I mean, the Falcons didn't even have a play in the red zone. The final score here was the Falcons 15, Raiders 9.
Yeah.
Hooey.
Yeah. And that's why we're picking him at the top of the draft.
Can I just say,
We had no Max Crosby either.
No, done for the
He's
season.
been shut down for the season and
Yeah,
getting
he's had surgery
on
on Monday.
ankle.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
no, this is
Mark Davis's girlfriend. That's the best thing that came out of this game.
you're probably not wrong, to be honest.
Yeah, and what was it? What was he said? She she fancied me for my smile, and it was before she knew I was a billionaire. Yeah, all right, mate.
Yeah.
Come
yeah.
on, really?
Well, I mean, with that haircut, who wouldn't love him?
Yeah, this is true. But no, it was not a great game. But the season's almost done, so positives.
Falcons going to be lucky to make the playoffs at this rate. Let's be honest. They've
Yeah.
got
Well,
to throw Penix in now to just
Well, let's see what happens
see
with
if they
Penix in there.
can.
Well, the thing is that so if we look at their division, they're one behind the Bucks, but I think they've beaten the Bucks twice, haven't they? So they've got the game over them.
Yeah.
So if they end up level, they end up going through. I mean, they're not
Yeah.
getting a wild card spot because they're miles behind.
No.
So they have to win out and win the division.
Mm.
Now the
Guess
Falcons.
what the last game of the season in that division is?
What is it?
Right,
Oh, it's
yeah.
Falcons Panthers. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
So the Falcons play the Giants, the Commodores, and the Panthers. So, there's a possibility of them getting a couple of wins there. And the Bucks, if we look at their last 3, they've got the Cowboys, the Saints, and the Panthers.
Not in that order.
Not in that order.
It's Cowboys, Panthers, Saints.
Yeah, which they could easily win out as well.
They should win all 3 of those games.
I mean, you say that, but you got your man
Should.
Spanky Rattler.
Should win all those games.
It depends which Cowboys. It depends which Panthers turn up. So yeah, it's difficult to know.
Well, there we go. Those were the games, including the Raiders being super eliminated from the playoff contention.
Oh,
Super
no.
eliminated.
Oh, no. We were eliminated. Oh, no. I'd never have seen that coming.
So we've done all the games now. What we'd normally move on to is the power plays, but Punk, this is the second week in a row where you've not been able to do the power plays for personal reasons, which we won't go into.
My agent said that your payment hadn't cleared, so I'm guessing you spent it all on Christmas presents.
It's in escrow. It's in escrow.
Yeah, no, it's
check check your
You
mail.
don't get nothing for nothing. So
Look, over the
Escrow.
Christmas period, it takes a long time for mail to get delivered. All right, so
In
just
escrow, those
stay the
cold
course.
blokes who live in the North Pole.
An escarot, yeah.
Yeah.
After that dad joke, we would normally do the power plays, but we're not going to. Well, we are going to, but not with Punk. So
No.
me and Dave have stepped up with our own power play.
Done one each.
Yes,
I've done one. I don't know how many you've done.
I've done one.
All right. You want to go
Right.
first?
Well, no, you can go first.
All right, fair enough. All right, so let's head over to Nashville, home
well,
of honky
have we
tonks.
got any honourable mentions or
No,
anything? You
We
no.
haven't,
probably
you
have when
haven't
we
even
find out what
done
Dave
that.
hasn't picked.
Well, I mean, you lot have heard this enough. You should be able to cover a power play or two.
But
Dear
No,
me.
we haven't
No
talked to
hat
each
trick
other.
heroes this week? No?
nope, none. Hey man, short notice. What do you want from me? All
Yeah,
right, shut up and
I did
listen.
the game reviews. All right, got this as well. Go on, then, Dave.
So let's head over to Nashville, home of honky tonks and the finest country music scene in the world. It's second and goal for the Bengals, with them trailing 14-7 to the Titans at the start of the second quarter. On the 9-yard line, lined up in shotgun, the Bengals center Ted Karras hoiks it back to Joe Burrow, and when the defensive line parts like the Red Sea. Now, like a fat kid at an all-you-can-eat restaurant, he bum rushes the buffet, heading straight for the sausage rolls, making it untouched all the way to the 12-yard line. But ready to greet him was a welcome committee of blue shirts headed by Harold Landry, who brings Burrow down. But before he can hit the deck, we see big, bad Tavondre Sweat, who rips the ball out of Burrow's hands, staggers back to the 10 before being tackled right back up by the backup tackle, Devin Cochran. But he swats Cochran like a fly on a summer's day before heading upfield. Now it's the turn of the Bengals' right guard, Alex Kappa, to bring the big fella down, but he gets a stiff meat hook to the face and collapses like the Greek economy in 2008. Meanwhile, Tavondre Sweat's 366-pound bulk carries him over the 15, then the 20, all the way to not the 30, but the 40-yard line. That's a 30-yard strip fumble recovery by the big man. And I don't care that the Titans lost this game. This is a literal power play. Tavondre Sweat is the winner of this week's Final Down Big Fella of the Week award, brought to you by KFC. Chicken.
Batman with football will always be a power play.
Egg.
It's an amazing pick. Well done, sir.
Exactly.
And
I guess
that might be the greatest write-up we've had in a long time as well.
Second greatest.
Why did I go second? Why did I have to follow that?
I mean, anyone that can shoehorn the Greek economy in 2008 into a power
Exactly.
play is.
Till I work in finance, right?
Mm. We
Come on,
should
Jim,
honorable
what's yours?
mention. We should honorable mention Dan Skipper then, who got a touchdown
Yes.
as a left tackle for the Lions, as big man with football.
I mean,
Actually getting it done.
we've already mentioned him. We have to mention Sam Hubbard getting
Yeah.
getting
Great.
a touchdown.
Great
And
catch.
I also want to call out the interception. Was it 40, 50-yard interception, Nick Bonito? But it was a bit easy, so there you go.
Well, if that's the case, then Russ's touchdown pass to Pat Fry. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to. No. All right.
I was
Here's mine.
almost ready to end the podcast right there.
He had,
Thanks for listening.
he had the safety cover off the red button. He was about to press it, but no. So there's 5:54 left in the third quarter, and you're down 17 points to zip at home. You've benched your quarterback at halftime after gaining only 17 yards, and the crowd are not happy. But your rookie backup quarterback has just moved the ball 55 yards to get you a chance of a score. On the edge of the red zone, the quarterback takes the snap and immediately pitches out to the wide receiver on the left numbers. Rather than sprinting upfield, Cedric Wilson starts to look out over the horizon, scanning like a T-1000 for a target. Wilson's twitchy eyes holds the safeties before a ball is launched diagonally across the field to the far pylon. Cue Alvin Kamara's one-handed over-the-shoulder catch as he falls into the end zone for a beautiful trick play score to give the Saints life and tell the crowd that there is some reason for hope. Just start Spencer Rattler over Jake Hayner next week.
Do you know what?
Definitely a power play.
Both of our
fantastic
power plays were for losing teams. This is what happens when you leave it to us.
But it doesn't matter. The whole point of the power plays is not the team and whether they've won or not. It's what the play contains.
Yeah, but
that was
a power play.
Fantastic job. They're both definitely power plays.
A power play should encapsulate the move of the game, the turn of the game. Technically,
that's a momentum shift. That's not a power play.
So I'm saying what it means for me, not for you. I don't mean you're right.
Just because you made it, Punk, doesn't mean that
Exactly.
you
Just
own it
it's
anymore.
mine.
There we go.
So those are the power
Good
plays.
job, chaps. Well done.
Thank you. We'll be back shortly with the Week 16 preview. And of course, then after that, we're back with the Week 16 review pod next week. So make sure you're checking us out by going on to patreon.com/finaldown. Sign up as a member. It's completely free to do so, just to make sure you get notifications of our drops. Plus, of course, you can sign up to get access to some of the extra stuff that we put out there every now and again, if you're lucky. And of course, on social media as well. Check out all the links on the video that you're seeing now as well. So that's everything. Until next week, boys. I've been Jim. That's been Never Dave. That's been Punk Raider. Thank you very much for listening.